welcome to the second season premiere of Fit to Speak from the Archives. I'm Eugene Obah, glad as ever to be with you. Today, I'm joined by Crime Redefined hosts Mehul Anjaria and Dion Mitchell to provide an update on the efforts to find broadcast industry professional and University of Merrill alum Terrence Woods, who's been missing since 2018. But first, I'd like to wish all of you watching this program a very belated Happy New Year. Yes. I'm fully aware that the statute of limitations have passed for even saying Happy New Year, but I'm of the belief that class does not have an expiration date. There's also no expiration date on many of the subjects that we present on the regular editions of Fit to Speak, which will return later this year. And on this show, through the end of May, on a monthly cadence, we will revisit and bring additional context to some of those subjects. But for this week and next week, we'll be talking about an important missing persons case that we've talked about quite a bit on the regular show, the one of missing broadcast industry professional and award-winning media professional, Terrence Woods. His case, which has seemingly gone cold, is one that has disturbed us deeply here at Common Sense Entertainment, especially considering the circumstances surrounding it, not to mention the fact that Terrence, as with myself and much of our team, are Merrill alums. It spurred us in October of last year, the 5th year, that Terrence has been missing to do this.
27-year-old Terrence Woods of Maryland was reported missing. He was filming in the Ore Grande area and got separated from his film crew up in northern Idaho. In addition to Idaho County personnel, the Forest Service, the U.S. Air Force, and backcountry rescue helicopters are assisting in the search efforts as we speak.
A TV producer working on a hit show near a deserted mine vanishes,
never to be seen again.
There are many words you can use when someone is missing. But which one accurately describes what happened to Terrence Woods?
His former colleagues claim they saw him run down a steep cliff that led to a forest.
Broadcast media professional and University of Maryland alum Terrence Woods Jr. missing since October 5th, 2018, after a shoot at the Penman Mine in Idaho. And in the time since, there have been more questions than answers.
The story seems very bizarre. It's just unbelievable.
If Terrence was there with the crew at the time, they would have found some sort of DNA or clothing, footprints, evidence of him being there. But for a crew who are trained to be in conditions like this, to find absolutely nothing of him is very bizarre.
But I gotta keep going. I want to find the truth out.
This is a story that should have wall-to-wall coverage, but as with most missing persons cases in the United States, some get coverage, but most do not. Today, it all changes. Join us as 5 years on, we simply ask, where is Terrence Woods? Now there's a question we need your help answering, and you can find the entire special right here on this YouTube channel. We'll of course have a link in the description below. And if you are watching this on another screen, do scan the QR code, which will link you directly to our special report. And next Friday, we will speak to Terrence's father, Terrence Sr., in the first major interview since our special report aired about the developments in this case. And trust me, this is one that you do not want to miss. So do click the subscribe button right now to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/the CSE channel right here, so that you are the first to see the episode when it drops. Well, folks, we cannot drop the ball on this case. There's still a lot of work to be done to provide answers for the Woods family as to really what happened to Terrence, where Terrence is. And that work to find Terrence Woods and to bring him home will be led by Mehul Anjaria and Dion Mitchell of Crime Redefined, who join us now. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. It is great to have you guys on Fit to Speak from the Archives. You guys are our first guests of the new season. The first time we've actually had guests on this spinoff show of Archives.
No pressure.
I know, right? Hey, no big deal, right? And let us go ahead and get started here, okay? So what is definitely a big deal is this story that we have been talking about on missing broadcast industry professional Terrence Woods. He's been missing now for over 5 years. And you guys were on our special report that we did on the regular edition of Fit to Speak back in October of last year. And on the back of that special, you guys have set up a GoFundMe page that will raise funds for an independent investigation as to Terrence's disappearance. And I think that that is definitely a very important stuff that is being done. And I thank you guys very kindly for, doing this on the back of, you know, all the coverage that, I know you guys have done on your podcast, the stuff that we have done here at Common Sense and everything else. And, you guys are going to have experts to pull this off and all the kinds of other stuff. And I want you guys, and I'll start with Mehul on this, and then I'll cross to you, Dion. What is this investigation going to entail for the audience? And, why get this done now?
Well, first of all, Eugene, credit to you to getting this off the ground, because after our last interview, Terrence Woods Sr. contacted us and said, you know what? If you have a plan, let's do it. So that was the last step in getting this started, is getting Senior's blessing to do it. So as you mentioned, the GoFundMe page is up there. We're asking for a lot of money, and that's because we want to do this the right way. We want to do it thorough. So this essentially involves looking at this like a blank canvas. So we're not going to make any assumptions going into it. We're going to leave no stone unturned. And we are going to collect evidence that we believe should have been collected in the first place. And the way we're going to do that is like a criminal investigation, Eugene. So this is going to involve professional investigators. It's going to involve legal counsel. It's going to involve forensic experts. And it's going to involve good old gumshoe work, interviewing witnesses, going out to the scene, potentially collecting evidence, using technology. We talked in the first interview, there's some very obvious places to start. Digital forensics, right? Let's look at that laptop. Let's look at that camera. Let's get a team in the field. And well, first of all, let's see what leads that brings us, because that might be a gold mine right there that's never been tapped for the 5 years, right? And so exactly. I think that will guide us. And then the next step is you go in the field and you start interviewing people, because either people weren't interviewed properly in the first place, or they weren't interviewed at all. Now, the best witnesses, of course, are the crew that were with Terrence, but that ship has sailed. But there were other people working with the production crew. There was a transport crew that helped them out. There were people they encountered in the hotels, people they encountered in the restaurants. So we're just going to track all those down. Is that about right, Dion?
Yeah, that's on point. And one of the reasons for that is because that we have to kind of essentially or potentially retrace our steps with this, is because the sheriff's department is just holding on to everything. So we have no idea, that we haven't seen the transcripts from the interviews with the crew or with the locals that were hired. We have no idea what's going on. So we have to reinvent and start this fresh, like it hasn't been done.
Right.
So, I mean, it's going to be painstaking. That's why we're doing the GoFundMe. I want to get the first plug in there. The name of the GoFundMe is Investigating the Disappearance of Terrence Woods. That's Investigating the Disappearance of Terrence Woods. And it's the only one that has commentary from his father. So that's how you know that it's legit. And I want to go back to that. We would have loved to have started this investigation a number of years ago, but Mehul and I, we made a decision that we did not want to go forward unless we had Terrence Woods Sr. on board. So once again, I want to thank you, Eugene, for helping us facilitate that relationship. It's great now. I think we have a high level of trust with Mr. Woods, and we want to keep pushing that relationship forward. We keep him updated almost daily with our progress. And then I also want to talk about the GoFundMe again. There's a lot we can do in incremental raises. So right now, our next goal is to get to $2,000. Well, there's some resources that we can deploy today to start the forensics on this before we even get into the field, like Mehul pointed out, that will direct this investigation of the next steps. You can't get ahead of the process. The process is what it is. So you turn over rock, you see what's there, and then it points you to the next step. And so that's just where we're at. So we need everybody's help. Go, no donations too small. Throw $1 in and tell 20 friends.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes people have an emotional, of course there's an emotional component here, right? You want to help Terrence. And I think sometimes people will just say, let's get a big pool of money and figure out what we're going to do with it. But we kind of did that the opposite way. We sat down and said, how would we conduct this investigation? what are the most likely types of experts we need to get, and let's get some cost estimates. And that's how Dion and I arrived at that figure. So that's not just let's get a big pot of money and figure out what the heck to do.
40K.
Yes, 40K is I think that will get us all the way. I hope we solve it earlier in the first 2K. Who knows? But we want the best. We want the brightest. We want to use technology. I've already been talking to possible investigators, people like retired FBI people. And there's a lot of people who are gung-ho to go to work on this, but there needs to be the funding. And we just need to clear some of the obstacles here by actually getting there and breaking down some of the barriers and starting the conversation and starting the evidence collection.
Yeah, that's a great point, because we're going to be completely transparent about this for two reasons. So people can see what we're doing, but maybe something that we're posting on the investigation and they see these steps, someone will go, oh, hey, you know what? I remember seeing this young man.
Right.
I saw him at a diner, or I saw him near the hotel parking lot, and come in with in every investigation, it's always that one random clue that pops up that kind of turns the case on its head. And so we're going to broadcast this. We'll show people what we're doing, how the money's being spent, who's in the field, giving results, giving updates. So, the community can kind of be involved in this investigation, and also have maybe an emotional stake in this, to finding this young man. This doesn't happen, and it can't happen,
It can't. And that is one of the big things that has been very frustrating about this case, is that, you have a crew. You have a crew who, is down there. I've been, on sets. You guys have been on sets, that sort of thing, with all kinds of crews. And to see somebody who's been missing for so long, and there's still these questions about what has may have not actually occurred, and that sort of thing, it makes it all the more bizarre. So it is so important that, the public and our viewers out here, and we're going to have a link to the GoFundMe in the description below for our audience. And I like what you guys have said about transparency, because I think that is going to be key in terms of getting the public really involved and really seeing what goes on. And, of course, the journey of 1,000 steps starts with the first one. So, we're on the ground floor on this right now. And Dion, I want to go to you on this. With any kind of investigation, there's going to be some degree of risk, especially with where things are going to be going here, especially in Idaho, and some of the other stuff that we have going on here. So give our viewers a sense of what potential risks there could be. What are the pitfalls that may happen in terms of this investigation here?
I don't want to sound like too bravado on this, but for me, there aren't any risk. For me, there's just only reward. The reward is that we find this young man one way or another, and we bring him home. As far as potential risk, maybe there's some social media backlash. I can't imagine why. We're trying to do the right thing here. There's some big players involved with this case, but to be honest with you, Mehul and I, we made a conscious decision. It's not important. We're not out to bash anybody or point fingers. Our investigation has one sole purpose: find Terrence Woods and bring him home to his family. That's it. We'll let the police and everybody else in the family figure that stuff out. We just can't let any more time, another year pass, without knowing what happened to this young man. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm not really concerned about the back end. There's only upside for me.
I'll give you a little story. For example, my wife is telling me, like, I don't want you to go out to Idaho, because we're talking about, we want to go to the actual site, the actual quote cliff. We want to check it out. How steep is that? Maybe we'll even actually walk down there. Terrence Woods mentioned when he went out there with his wife that he was a little bit creeped out. Everybody was kind of looking at him. It's a small town. So there's a little bit of that dynamic about potentially the ranks closing in together. Anytime you start kind of redoing what law enforcement is going to do, you're stirring up a hornet's nest. You may get some resistance that you don't understand why it's coming, but it's perhaps from law enforcement. So, I mean, I agree with Dion. To us, there really is no risk. We do what we do. And this is just a part of investigation. So if you're used to doing this, it's not really that big of a deal. We're not going to be daunted. We don't care what people say. We got a job to do. We're determined to do it. And that's it. So
Can I add
agree
one
with
more?
Dion.
I'm sorry, Mel.
Yeah,
Can I add
go
one
ahead.
more comment to that, Eugene?
Yeah.
Any small town in America is going to look sideways at outsiders. This is really, really remote area of central Idaho. I mean, you're talking about 300 or 400 people. And I think it's all in your presentation and how you carry yourself. If we go in there and we're sincere and we're just saying, hey, listen, we don't care about that stuff. Just tell us what you know about the disappearance so we can find this young man. So you can go anywhere in America, any state, and if it's a small community, they're going to protect their own. And if they don't recognize you, you know, they're going to be looking at you a little bit of sideways. But my job will be to show up, put people at ease. We're not there to point fingers and ask silly questions. We're just saying, hey, have you seen the guy? And we're just trying to retrace his steps. So I feel confident that we can accomplish that.
Yeah, and I think it's clear to people if they look at our GoFundMe page and all the attachments and links and our past involvement that the reason we're doing it is because we believe we are the ones who can get it done. We're not doing it purely for publicity to make a, you know, a circus show out of this. We've got that detailed plan. There's a PowerPoint on the GoFundMe that talks about some of the technology that we want to use, the types of experts. And of course, you can look at our background and our knowledge of this case and see that, you know, we are very vested in it. And much like you, Eugene, it's like, if we don't do it, who's going to do it?
Yeah.
Because nobody is, you know, Eugene, you've done a wonderful job covering this story, promoting our social media posts. But to be honest with you, there's no other real strong proponent out there right now in the media or on social media. And that's something obviously we need to change. We put out a press release recently and it did really well. It went to the top of Google. So we're going to keep hammering that. We're on all social media. We just started TikTok. You know, Dion and I are old guys, so we're not really familiar with TikTok, but that's where everyone's at. So we got that ramped up. So
we're doing what we need to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
I have a question for you, Eugene, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Why do you think, like, we've been really, as our skill set, Mehul and myself, our skill set is allowing us, like social media, we're doing everything that we can think of, messaging, we're hitting everybody we can think of. Why do you think that we're not picking up the traction for Terrence's case that I think we should be?
Yeah.
I think gets to even, I'll even kind of sort of answer this, you know, with a question, you know, as well, that I'll just kind of throw out there. Because we have, in the time since this special aired, back in October of last year, just day before Halloween, I mean, yes, while it was our most watched ever edition of Fit to Speak in the 4 years that we've done the original show, it's like, where has been the pickup from much of other media in terms of getting to this? Because remember, this is a broadcast professional. This is a broadcast professional. Much of the work that Terrence has done on both this side of the Atlantic and the other side of the Atlantic, the UK, but the Voice UK and so on and so forth, a lot of that would not have been done but for Terrence and the impact that he has made, and I hope he continues to make it, because I believe, and I think you guys believe too, that he is out there. He is out there, you know,
100%.
at all. So it's just been frustrating, you know, for me, and I'm sure for you guys as well, that even with all of this stuff, even with the social media, even with you know, what we've done, you know, and all what we've aired, and that sort of thing, that, you know, we just need that extra push. And
One
I'm hoping
person,
that,
you know?
or somebody out there
Yeah.
that
Well,
can
I
really
think-
make this happen. And I'm
Yeah.
hoping that today, as we air this program, that we give this a bit of a second wind, you know, and all, that hopefully that this may be it. This may be the one stuff, along with all the coverage that, you know, we'll continue to do on this, that this will finally push things over the edge.
Well, here's what's different, right? All the previous coverage is just rehashing the same story. Every year it's like, oh, still haven't found Terrence Woods. And they go back and they regurgitate the same facts. Now there's something new. There is a investigation that has been launched. There's fundraising. So I think we got to get our messaging clear that we're not just bringing up Terrence Woods again, although that people should latch onto that as well. But there is a breaking development here. There's going to be boots on the ground, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. So hopefully, if we can get that message out clearly, then we'll pick up that momentum that's needed.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that is the point of difference
Yeah.
that we have in terms of this, as opposed to some of the stuff that I've seen. I've seen like Dateline. They did an article around October, November about this. But again, as you said, a lot of this are the same facts that have been put out for so long, and now we need a fresh approach in doing this. And I hope our viewers, I hope that the public are going to really get behind this investigation. You guys have 4 decades, and when I put your guys' experience together,
Are we that old?
experience in the media.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
But no, I'm putting stuff together here, guys. At all. In terms of the combined experience in media and criminal justice and things, and which is why our team wanted to interview you guys to begin with for the special, because I think the credibility that you guys bring is so great, and you guys are just as passionate as I and our team here in DC about this. So I just want to, in our remaining moments that we have, drive this home for the viewers. Why should the public that are watching this, why should they contribute to this campaign? Why should they support this independent investigation of finding Terrence?
Okay, I'll go first. Well,
Go for it.
the first reason is, all I say, and this is kind of what got me motivated. What if this was your son, your husband, your brother, grandson? Would you not want to find him, and would you not take everybody's help that would help find him? So one is, I just personalize it. If this was one of my family members, I'd be grabbing at straws and anybody that wants to help out. So there's just the human aspect of this, the compassion, helping bring someone home. But also, as I mentioned last time, he's a colleague, he's a producer, and as you mentioned in the beginning, we spent a lot of time on sets. People just don't wander off. I don't care if you're in a studio, a soundstage, or out on location. It just does not happen. And so we just really want to get to the bottom of this and bring him home for all the right reasons.
Yeah, I would say that one thing is we're looking for momentum. So even if we get a bunch of small donations, if you can give $5, $10, people start seeing that there's momentum.
Yeah.
That's going to encourage them to donate as well. So again, any bit helps because it gets us towards our goal. Again, we don't need 40,000 to start. But let's start showing other people and, maybe shaming them into donating and say, listen, get on the bandwagon. We're all doing this. But ultimately, rather than just crying for help, like perhaps in the past 5 years that we've seen in the media, this is a way to fix it. And this is a solid way. So I would encourage everybody, because there's a lot of competition to GoFundMe. Go in, look at our PowerPoint, look at our links, and see how we are different in people who are asking for money, and see that there's a specific goal, and you will get an outcome, and it may not even take that much money to get to the end of this.
That's right. If you can't donate, help us make it trend on Twitter.
Yes.
Or repost it or forward it. We're going to have another press release coming out shortly. We're doing everything we can. So, if you can't donate, just hit up other people, forward our message, repost, do whatever you can. It's all about exposure right now. And eventually I think we'll hit that one, high profile person, like an Elon Musk or something like that just hits retweet and points us out. And then we'll be, we'll be on the road to finding Terrence and bringing him home.
That's the hope. That is the hope. Every little bit, helps, whether donating, sharing, retweeting, or I guess reposting, because it's X these days.
That's right.
Something.
Yeah, right. Reacting.
Whatever it is now, and all. But in all, in all seriousness, I think that definitely you guys have really brought something I think that is going to be big for this, because we need to have closure for the Woods family. We really need to have this. The GoFundMe, we're going to have the link in the description below. It's investigating the disappearance of Terrence Woods.
Yep.
It's GoFundMe.com/investigating-the-disappearance-of-Terrence-Woods. A lot of hyphens there, but again, the link is going to be in the description below for our audience. And also, you guys at Crime Redefined, at crimeredefined.com, you guys have a contact page as well. So for anybody that
reach
has,
out, message us there if you have any tips or questions or suggestions on how we can do better. Investigation tips, social media tips. We'll take everything.
absolutely anything and everything does help. So Mehul and Anjaria and Dion Mitchell, the hosts of Crime Redefined, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Eugene.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Eugene.
it. Great to talk to
Appreciate
you.
Do join us next week, March 1st, as Terrence's father, Terrence Sr., joins us for Fit to Speak from the Archives exclusive. Do not miss this episode. Click the subscribe button right now. In the meantime, be sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts, and be sure to check out our Substack page for exclusive content, including our monthly Common Sense newsletter, and to support all of the work that we do here. Finally, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell on our YouTube channel so that you do not miss any of our episodes. Until next week, I'm Eugene Obah. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, the best things in life are worth saving.